Good evening, we'll go ahead and get started. 6 o'clock. Begin the Hudsonville Public Schools regular Board of Education meeting for April 11, 2024. Our first thing on our agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is our approval of our agenda.
So,
Moved by Andrew, support by Don. Next item up is our board recognition. Oh, me vote. First time? Sorry. Everybody else is paying attention. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next up, let's do our board recognition.
all right, we'll start with a recognition of two amazing art students that we have at our high school. I'm going to turn it over to Jesse Vanderbank to talk a little bit about their, who's going first? You're good?
I'm good.
All right, ready, here we go. I'll turn it over, sorry. Go ahead, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Jesse Vanderban, and I'm one of the teachers over at the high school. So I teach ceramics and sculpture, and I'll be teaching the new AP Studio Art class that we'll be offering next year. And yeah, so tonight I wanted to recognize Emery and Olivia for receiving Gold Key awards for the Scholastic Art Awards, so regional Gold Key awards. And I went and I double checked the website before I came here to make sure I had my numbers right. But there were this year in our region, so our region, the West Central region, runs from Ludington all the way down to Kalamazoo, and there were 1,600 some entries for middle school and high school students, and there were 39 students who won Gold Key awards. So Olivia and Emery both entered this year and won Gold Key awards and did fantastic work. And we brought the pieces. The pieces are over here on the counter. So there's Olivia's pig sculpture, and then Emery's possum teapot. And yeah.
Any chance they can come up and say a few words about their piece without
Sure.
putting them on the spot?
I jumped right in and said, sure. Sure. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Emery. I like art. I don't like public speaking.
Which one is yours?
The teapot, the possum, that one.
This one?
Yep, thank you.
Right here, I'll hold it up. Yeah.
I'm Olivia. I made the When Pigs Float sculpture. It was like a take on When Pigs Fly, but I wanted to switch it up a little bit.
We have a small token of our, just a congratulations. If we can get a quick picture, I know you're going to love, if you don't like public speaking, you're going to love a picture even more.
She's very shy. Do you drink tea? Is that what prompted the tea?
It was one of our projects in that class.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's about personality.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice job. Come over here and take a quick picture. Okay. Yeah, get in here. Okay, awesome. All right, stand over here, please. Here we go. I'm going to squeeze another second. Yeah. Just keep going right. Keep going. You're doing great. This way, the other way. Congratulations, you guys. Nice job.
How long does it
Couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple class weeks.
Yeah. So.
take? Just a couple weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So just one more quick note. Yeah. So in class we spend about a couple weeks on a project. So kids come in each day, work on the projects, and then they go in the kiln. They're fired through the kiln. They glaze the work. It comes out, and then they write their artist statements about the work. But then as far as Scholastic goes, so now that they won Gold Key regional awards, they go on to compete nationally. So we'll find out June 12th what the national results are if they won any awards nationally for their work. So it's exciting.
Well done to you and well done to both.
Fantastic.
Now, we do get to ask a question.
Yes.
A couple questions. So, we've only had the program for a couple of years, right? The program.
The ceramics class has been running for, this is its third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
And had either of you done any ceramics work prior to being in class, or?
Sorry. I was gonna say not particularly.
Okay.
Like one of the requirements to get into ceramics class, you have to do R3D, so you do like a little bit of clay work there, but otherwise ceramics is
Okay.
like it. So I had
Okay. So it's kind of a new thing for both of you. And, wow, that's exciting. That's awesome. Congratulations again.
Naturals.
Set up an Etsy page and I'll buy it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yes.
All right, next we have a teaching and learning feature. I'll turn over to Mrs. Taylor to talk about Esports.
Esports. So this evening we have Mr. Craig Steenstra, our instructional technology director, and Brady Van Nelson here, who has been coaching esports for a couple of years, and just to give us an overall update of esports and some exciting things are happening that they want to share with you this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Do you know what esports are? It's basically video games that people get paid for, and at the high school level, it's increasingly popular as a competitive activity. So over the past year, we've been planning to invest in our esports program, and it's aligned with our SOAR 5 goal of core curricular activities, trying to provide more opportunities for students to connect to the school and participate in different ways. So to that end, I have worked with our cabinet, Dr. Vanderjack and Mr. Briggs, a number of other people to identify the equipment and the space at the high school to really provide a way for this program to grow. But that is a very small part of the work that has gone into it. Brady Van Malsen is the program director, lead, coach, everything pretty much. And he has done all of the hard work to get it to where it is. And he's going to explain more about what's happening and where we hope to take it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Brady Van Malsen. I'm a teacher at the high school for 6 years and coach of freshman soccer for 5, and then coach of whatever this is for 3 or so. Yeah, I've been trying to make it happen. I mean, it started as a kind of a gaming club just to kind of meet kids where they're at and increase that engagement. Pretty much all our kids play games in some way or another, so want to try to teach them healthy habits and maybe make some career and academic opportunities out of it. So yeah, I mean, I had a few slides prepared, just like some few things. Yes, stole my thunder a little bit, but I just, in case you didn't know what esports are, they are, competitive video games. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry growing every year. There are professional athletes and a whole bunch of people around that put on the show, commentators and all kinds of things, broadcasters, etc. So every major college has an esports program. It's becoming much more common for high schools to have them as well. So yeah, we participate in this MHSEL, Michigan High School Esports League, that I also sit in on the advisory board meetings for that as well to just kind of be up to date and suggest things and help it grow. There's some other leagues around that we've dabbled in as well, but yeah, there's lots of good purposes for it. Of course, I could go on for a long time about the purpose. It's kind of my background, and in my master's degree research was a lot about game design and educating how that can be tied to educational design. So yeah, I could go on for a long time about all the benefits about it, but yeah, the big thing was engagement, student engagement. Promoting those healthy habits, meeting them where they are. Possibly there could be some courses that could be made out of this, and ELA or communications courses. We have journalism and things like that, and some broadcasting courses, so maybe there's some potential there. And of course, these can turn into scholarships and career paths for these kids as they build all the same benefits that sports would give, but as well as some technological benefits and communications benefits as well. So yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years or so. There's fall and spring seasons, about 8 to 10 week seasons, each of those. At our peak participation, we had 41 students or so, which was great. And that's like 11 different teams that I was trying to manage while also coaching soccer and stuff. It was a mess. But right now we have about 20 students with 4 different teams. And yeah, there's lots of kids who are interested in some non-competitive gaming as well. So that's good. Some pictures of some of our accomplishments. We take place in we take part in some tournaments. We've gone to this one of like a Griffin's Invitational at Grand Valley for the past couple years. The kids get to play and see some college showcase matches as well, and kind of get noticed by colleges and attend a Griffin's game and get walked onto walk the players onto the ice and stuff like that. Some cool moments. And yeah, there's our team with the Griffin. Yeah, and there's all kinds of opportunities out there. In Rosa Park Circle during this most recent art prize, there was this big tournament going on, and Ferris was there, and Michigan State was there, and Grand Valley was there, and lots of people. And so I'm trying to network with that, and it's cool that it's kind of getting a spotlight in the local community. This is kind of what an esports lab looks like. This is Grand Valley's. Yeah, it's bigger than it looks there, but not lots of really nice gear. They have some great sponsors to get some great gear, and so yeah, I really appreciate that we were able to make something similar. Here's our equipment. It's still in progress in terms of building it and making the network work in a safe way and all that, so that's good. But it's coming along, and so I was ecstatic. I was really grateful to have you guys approve those funds, and they're going to be coming together. And it's a free offering now for students as well, so it's wide open, and we're hoping to do it in person. For the past, since it's been a thing, it's been all online only, so from home. And so it doesn't have that same kind of ego pride and culture that we want to have as an in-person type of thing. So in the future, we're hoping to do some more in-person events, improve that computer lab, and try to beat out our competitors and be a leader in the space around here in West Michigan. Our middle school program is starting up as well. There's the league that we use is starting to offer that, and I was just talking to Tyler Impton and Ryan Creed about that today. Yeah, in the future, we're hoping to treat it like any other sport. It is like, we kind of joked about it, but it is a lot of work for me, and I've kind of expressed to Ann and others the potential of making some sort of esports director position, contract position that could maybe get Schedule B pay, because if it is going to succeed, it'll need that kind of extra help. It's about probably 10 plus or more hours per week with practices and games, just like any other sport. So I would love to put more time and effort into it, and I love doing it out of the kindness of my heart for the kids. But I'm not saying this has to be me, this director position either, of course. So, but I think the necessity is there, in my opinion. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I think any major questions you had or anything more you'd like from me?
I do want to make a comment that Brady took this under his wing when it didn't exist. Kids working from home, kids doing things, and forming as you initially started a conversation with kids that needed to find a place to feel like they could have ego pride here. We have something similar in our bass fishing team, right? We've talked about that, and this is something very similar. So we're seeing that, and I do want to thank the work that Craig's put into it, the work with Pat in trying to find the rooms as we expanded the field house and then started to move with the connection of the high school and now trying to what room is going to be where.
Yeah, it's by the robotics, the new robotics area. We're just one classroom down from that.
Yeah, so it's kind of that whole wing. It's kind of that whole feel. So I just want to thank the leadership, not only in taking under your belt and then seeing where it can evolve in the next several years. Yeah, so thanks.
Thank you very much.
Just a question, any feedback that you've received from parents? And I greatly appreciate the fact that you're also trying to teach them good habits.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously an area where parents might be concerned about bad habits.
Yeah, definitely, and I love to educate about that stuff. Yeah, we get a lot of interest at like the 8th grade showcase and things like that. Tons of parents are coming up and like they have these kids who they're worried about them, or they're not involved in anything around the school or sports, or they're not a sporty type kid. Some of them are, but yeah, they love the opportunity, and they're always asking lots of questions about it. So yeah, it's been positive feedback from the parents. I think we've only in the past 3 years had like one incident where a kid felt like he was kind of being pressured by another teammates, and so that's a good conversation to have though, and those kinds of things would definitely be remedied with more in-person coaching and mentoring from a director. Yeah.
Great.
But it's been good. Yeah, they love the opportunity for their kids, and even the scholarship opportunities and things like that. They like don't understand necessarily what's going on or like how to watch the game sometimes, but they're having fun, and we had the biggest cheering section of parents at that Grand Valley tournament as well, and so like we get these comments like, "Wow, your parents are loud," even though there's only a handful of them. It's like, yeah, that's fire up the Eagles. That's good.
Good, thank you.
What teams? We have 4 teams right now. What games are they competing in?
Yeah, so this league that we participate in here is called Play VS. They run through that Michigan High School Esports League. They offer these 10 games right now. It's like Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, NBA 2K, which is the basketball game, Madden, the football game, Rocket League, which is like soccer with cars, League of Legends, which is the biggest game in the world. Hundreds of millions of people play that, watch that. They sell at the Staples Center for the World Championships and stuff like that. It's insane. Hearthstone is a card game. Not much participation in that one recently. Valorant is a new one, which is a very kind of a tactical game there, tactical team-based game there. That's a new offering that's gotten a lot of attention. Overwatch is very similar to Valorant as well. So it's a variety of games, which can be kind of tricky for the participation part, where it's like offering 10 different sports. So it's kind of like you got to find the right kids who play that same game enough to want to do it on a competitive level and who aren't involved with other sports or other offerings and things like that, so that it works with their schedule. So that's kind of been the trick, and I hope that if we can make it an even more attractive offering and kind of legitimize it alongside our other sports and programs, that we would see even more participation.
So this is a field I really want to lead on. I'll ask stupid questions. Are there, as the games continue to evolve and they require more and more horsepower, right? More and more technology. So is this like every year we've got to update technology? I'm kind of looking at the gentleman behind you as well.
Yeah,
both of you guys. We're updating more frequently than we would technology in other cases, or because they get more and more complex year after year after year, right?
I will say a lot of it has to do with bandwidth to start with.
Okay,
they have
that's good.
connectivity to be able to do what they need to do.
That's
the hardware that I think we've purchased that should be good for several years.
I would think so.
Is going to be important.
Yeah, and these computers, their drivers get updated with kind of AI tools and stuff too that will help them last longer than ever. I was thinking, like, we ordered these last summer or so, and I was like, for the same price, like, technology does move quickly. I was like, for the same price, maybe we could have done better. But no, and most of these games are not too intensive, that they don't require the greatest top of the line hardware. And a lot of the pros even like to play on low settings, so they don't have to push the hardware, and it actually makes like a clearer visual field for them too. So I think what we got is great. Again, I'm super grateful for that, and I think it should, like what we have now, will last for, I would think 10 years, hopefully.
And bandwidth will okay as well?
So the challenge with the bandwidth is a little bit tricky because we want to make sure that these students have access to use these games during that time and not during the rest of the day.
The lab is
so
locked.
You can't just open up the whole district and say, because we have an esports game, everybody can play Mario Kart all day or whatever. So
there's the way they communicate with those servers is tough, and so we're trying to figure out those network solutions and talking to other schools as to how they manage that as well, and how we can stay within compliant laws to keep kids safe and all that. And so
we offered a dial-up solution, but the kids didn't understand it.
That's great.
And are you seeing are colleges now coming into high schools and recruiting just like they do for football, for other sports?
I would like to see it more. Yeah, I would say more and more, yes. That event at Art Prize was really cool to talk to, like Ferris State. I know you've talked to the representative at Ferris for their esports program, and he's more than willing to come in and talk to the kids about that. And maybe not necessarily scouting so much as at least educating kids and helping us grow and seeing the opportunity in college. Yes.
I already mentioned scholarships. What would be a potential career path for a kid that really gets deep into this?
Sure, a potential career path. Communications is probably a big one, right? Like the professional athletes in esports world probably doesn't last too long, right? Like it's kind of the young man's reflexes or young woman's reflexes that keeps you in the game, and so it's not the longest career. No sport is, I suppose, right? But career positions beyond that, there's a lot of communications, right? So alongside these games, just like with sports, there's commentators who are either analyzing the play or giving a play-by-play calls, and so they dress up in suits and stuff, and like it's very professional. It's very professionally done, and these people are big celebrities as well. So I would say communications is probably the biggest one, but even just some more experience and knowledge of technology can maybe something in the STEM fields. But even those same regular benefits that you get from a normal sport, we hope to have here too.
Thanks.
I think we should get Dwight to announce some of these in the field house. If we ever allow student section or parent section.
His knowledge is about this big.
Mario Kart.
That's the dream, at the field house with the lights and everything.
That's right.
State finals, we'll host it.
There you go. 10 years from now, maybe 5.
Right. Step by step. Yeah. So appreciate it.
That's great.
Great stuff.
Anything else?
Thanks, Brad, for taking it on your own. It takes somebody to take it and lead these things to start up, whether it's this or bass fishing or pottery, whatever it is. And so thank you.
No one's ski club, anything. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up on our agenda is the recognition of visitors and hearing of people present.
We did not have any requests to speak this evening.
And those that do want to leave at this point, you're welcome to all stay. But those that
It's great stuff to talk.
It's a good time to sneak out.
Dinner, sorry.
There you go. No,
Thank you.
don't apologize.
Excellent job. Congratulations.
All right, next up on our agenda, or on our action items, is our consent agenda. Hear any questions on anything? So the following resolution is proposed. Resolved that the board approve the consent agenda action items as presented.
So moved.
None.
I'll support that.
Mark. Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion passes.
Mr. Bowman, I missed the motion.
It was from Dawn and from Mark.
Dawn and Mark. We'll move to our regular action items. First one up is the Baldwin campus parking bid recommendations. Mr. Briggs.
Thank you. So we talked about this in a lot of detail in the work session, but just to summarize, this is, there are 4 large parking lots at the Baldwin Street campus that range from the 2 large ones that are right by just east of Baldwin Street Middle School, and the 2 large ones that sit, I'll just say east again, just east of the football field and west of the soccer fields. 2 large ones there. There's one small in the middle that we're not touching, but this covers mill and replace of all the asphalt on those 4 lots, as well as the large lot that's by Baldwin Middle, a full removal, full base gravel and sand replacement. And we're happy with the bidder participation. So we think we got really favorable pricing, and we feel good about the recommendation to the board for a total for the 2 contracts of $882,547.
Great. So the following resolution is proposed. Resolved that the board approve the recommendation to award contracts to Al's Excavating, Inc. and Light Load Services, LLC to replace 4 of the 5 parking lots on the Baldwin campus for a total amount of $882,547 as presented by Patrick Briggs, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance.
I'll move that.
Is by Mark. Support. By Andrew. Any questions, thoughts?
What was the timing on this again?
Right after the state track meet.
Yeah. We'll start as soon as we can get on, as soon as the kids are done using and then we'll do the 2, I was talking more about athletic related lots first.
Okay.
And there's a drive coming in off 36, we'll get that done first, and then starting the real big heavy work down by the school.
Okay. So in terms of parking for like fall sports, practices, all that kind of stuff. Practices will be unique, but for the as soon as the Division 4 state track meet's done, they'll get in and start working on the drive. I just talked about coming off 36th, and then get those 2 west lots. The lots on the east done, and then do the other ones. Get it all done before the kids come back in August.
Great. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion passes. Mr. Briggs, we'll go back to you again for the high school clock and public announcement bids.
Thank you. Yes, this was also reviewed last work session. And just to summarize, this is we need to pull low voltage cabling to do a selective replacement of the public address system and a total replacement of the clock system. It would be called the old high school and the former freshman campus. So it's gonna be a messaging clock that also has the ability to send messages to the classroom, but it also has horns on it and lights. So it's a really big safety item that we feel really strongly about. So we need to pull that low voltage cabling to some of the public address system we're gonna keep, but we also need to integrate basically 3 systems that we have right now. So, a lot of work there, a lot of programming work, and we feel good about, Moss has done other work for us. They're low bidder. There were people that were lower in certain categories, but we just felt is the best way. We didn't want one company pulling cable and another company trying to integrate a solution. So, as stated, our recommendation is for Moss for $648,000.
All right, thank you. The following resolution is proposed. It's resolved that the board approve a contract with Moss Telecommunications for high school low voltage cabling, public address system, and clocks for a total amount of $648,253.76 as presented by Patrick Briggs, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance.
Support.
Questions?
Pat, I know you spoke about this, but for some reason I'm not recalling. What does it have for a backup system in case of power outage? Is it battery operated, or how does that work?
So, most of these are, we call it power over Ethernet. So they do have power that we would have to charge that system alone. We do have a new generator system, but it's right now it's wired up mostly to power like life safety type systems for the field house. So we've got some backup power. It would be a big surge all at once and we have battery backup systems for like servers and switches that power them down safely. So I don't think we wouldn't be operating for. Right now we don't have power to go for an hour. It would be a really short term, and we probably wouldn't have power to power the horns. We might be able to get a digital message up there for a while. So it just isn't that we haven't engineered yet the system to do backup power there. We have that at other schools. The schools on the south of the district where we've had most of our power issues. We've got that now at Riley, both the Jamestown and Forest Grove. South has had it for a while, but yeah, we don't really have that engineered yet at the high school.
A lot of it runs directly over IP, or over the Ethernet. So the closets in the back that are backed up by generators, those actually continue to run. We might have what's considered a brownout when most of the lights come off, but the power in the clocks still works.
So just like you said, for a period of time, you'd be able to get
I think we can still push them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Push them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just try to think of all possible situations that might be
We will
emergencies,
not
right?
all.
Okay, power
A lot of
outage
them.
is somewhat.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
To that point, though, I think I appreciate that we're looking ahead and trying to find better ways to be safer in our schools, right? It's much appreciated because it's an important topic. It's just like the letters, like numbering the doors and things like that, right? Like, I appreciate the fact that we're being proactive and not waiting for something bad to happen to improve some of these things.
Yeah, the idea that these clocks are plugged into the wall
Yeah.
is not accurate. They're not. They don't want to talk.
Anything else for Pat? All right, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion passes. We're going to stick over with you, Mr. Briggs, for the maintenance truck purchase recommendation.
It's that time of year, trying to get ready for some summer projects. So yes, this also was reviewed, works at the work session, so I'll just go high level through this. We're asking the board to approve purchase of two 2024 2500 Dodge Tradesman 4x4 6.4 liter heavy duty trucks. These will go in the maintenance fleet. They'll be used as plow trucks. They'll replace a couple other trucks. One is going to be scrapped out and the other one can be used in other capacities. But this time of year, well, any time of year right now, it's not easy to get discounts on trucks, really anything, but trucks in particular. They can sell them at even over sticker in many cases. So we're not seeing those governmental discounts anymore, but we like the pricing, and we think this is a good solution for our department. So that is the recommendation.
All right, so the following resolution is proposed. Resolved that the board approve the recommendation to purchase two 2024 2500 Dodge Tradesman 4x4 6.4 liter heavy-duty trucks from Fox Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at a cost not to exceed $87,598 plus reasonable associated costs, as presented by Patrick Briggs, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance.
So
Thanks, Ken.
I'll support that.
Questions? Comments? Worried that we weren't Dodge people here, nobody's moving that one.
Mopar.
All right. If there are no questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Mr. Briggs, one more time on the property tax
Thank
collection
you.
rates.
Thank you. And this is one we didn't review at work session. This is an annual resolution, and it's an interesting process the state of Michigan has, where the schools need to actually communicate with the townships to enter property tax collection agreements. We have, I would say, conversation about the rates, and you can see in the report how the rates have changed from 2020 to 2024. There were a couple municipalities that were below $3.25 last year, and they're up to $3.25 this year. So all at the same level. And they've all agreed to these rates, and our recommendation is that the board would accept that and allow us to finalize the process.
All right.
Oh, I apologize. I should have noted that right now, it's on the bottom of the report, but Ottawa Intermediate School District reimburses us for this cost. So that's a big deal. I should have mentioned that in the report. It is.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. The following resolution is proposed. Resolved that the board approve the 2024 summer property tax collection rates as presented by Patrick Briggs, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance.
So moved.
Moved by Dawn.
Support.
Ken. Thoughts, questions? Matt?
Pat, is an annual renewal of this is required by law?
Really, the way our ISD does it, yes. Some of the townships ask for a 2-year deal. I mean, Georgetown Township did that for years. But everything is set up to do it annually.
By the ISD.
And it's really the way the school code, it's really the way the tax collection statutes are written. But there's nothing that says somebody can't have a multi-year agreement underneath that. But this is really for the board process. You know, there's a resolution we ask you to look at in the fall that is the summer tax collection resolution in the first place. It's really set up to be an annual process.
I mean, you see where I'm going. Is there
Yeah.
benefit? Is there any opportunity to save costs here if you're locking in for a couple of years? But I guess what you're saying is probably not.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
It does save a little conversation on my part and the township officials' part if we set up a multi-year agreement. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Gets ahead of lunch.
That's a good one.
So the OAISD has been paying these fees for quite some time?
Yes.
And I'm assuming it's because they want to make sure everybody's treated the same across the county, regardless of what township you're in for collection, or?
From their standpoint, I think it allows, I mean, it's collection of school tax. And with us having a summer levy, now they'll pay for the winter levy as well. But on the winter levy, you can make a point that we really don't need to pay for that. So it's more geared for summer taxes. And that obviously helps their cash flow a tremendous amount because their taxes are on there too. So it's in their interest for us to collect in the summer. It helps us a tremendous amount as well.
All for it.
Any other questions for Pat? All right, go ahead and vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you, Pat. The next item up is our first reading of the board policy revision on board ethics.
So we have policy 0144.2, which mirrors the code of conduct, which is on the wall over there to the left. This simply adds number 14 to that list, which was not in policy, but was in the code of conduct. So now the policy does match the code of conduct. I have not heard any feedback from the board prior to the work session. So the recommendation is to approve this as a first reading. We'll bring the second reading back in May.
All right, thank you. The following resolution is proposed. Resolved that the board approve the revision to board policy 0144.2, board ethics, as presented by Dr. Vanderjack.
So
Moved by Andrew.
Support.
By Dawn. Questions, thoughts? All right, make it easy then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next up, we have our report items. First up, Jane.
you're winding down.
I know.
No, I'm riled up. All right. Hi, everyone. Okay, I'm going to start by introducing Paxton over there. Give him a wave. He is going to be your student representative for next year. So he was voted by our student council, and he's going to be great. And I'm sure he just is so exciting, you know. You're hearing all about budgets, and it's going to be great. Okay, so on to student council things. April 22nd, new applications for student council members are due, and then elections will start May 1st. So, if you guys have any kids who maybe want to be on student council, and encourage them to apply, or so we're gonna get some new people in there. They're always, every year, we re-elect, so even if you were on it as like a sophomore, you still have to rerun as a junior. So we always get new people coming in. For Student of the Month, which is the committee that I'm on, we did a new thing this month where normally you just get like a little packet and a box of candy, but we did a pizza party for like one of the Student of the Months spun a wheel, and then whoever won their class got a pizza party, just to give more of a reward, because that's a pretty awesome deal. In the winter, we have cocoa carts, but now we're switching to popsicle carts. So in seminar, we just popsicle cart down the hallways, and people can get their popsicles. So that's fun. Today at Cat Fest, which I'm sure Ms. Real will talk about more, but we had all the seniors write their name and then what they're planning on doing next year for college or career or whatever. And then we're going to hang those all on the wall by the entrance of the school, the main entrance, so people can read those. And then lastly, we always run an aid station at the Riverbank Run. So May 11th is the Riverbank Run, and it's really cool. I've done it before. You just hold water as far as you can, and then the runners like knock it out of your hands. But it's cool, and it's fun that we get to do that. So that's all I have for you guys. Anyone has any questions?
Where on the aid station are you? Are you late in the race?
We're at like the 10-mile mark.
Oh,
So
they'll be grabbing it. They won't be knocking out of your hands if you're early.
well, the first.
The first couple go quick.
Quite a gap. There's the racers, and they're scary.
There's the runners and the participants.
Yes. But we encourage, and it's really cool to see. So, yes.
Great. Thanks, Jane.
You are with us next.
I have one more meeting. Yes. Yep.
You're welcome to come back in June. It is a public meeting.
Yeah, you can come join us.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you want.
One more meeting. All right, next we have building updates. We'll start with Park Elementary and
You
Kenzie.
can just project if you want. All right. Okay, so as you know, on Monday when we came back from spring break, we had a solar eclipse, which was really exciting and a fun way for our students to come back and get to dive into some real life learning. And so, you know, some classes watched the NASA live coverage of totality. Other classes went out like every 15 minutes and logged the changes they saw on the moon. But what was really cool is every student had the opportunity, if they wanted, to go outside and look at the sun with protective glasses. And probably the highlight was going to the kindergarten classes and supporting their viewing. We went with adults and paired up our kindergarten students with an adult just kind of to make sure that their eyes were covered and protected. And it was such a magic moment. Those kindergartners were like, wow, oh my goodness, thank you so much for letting me see this. And like, it was just, they were just so ecstatic about it, you know, which was really cool because some of the adults are like, okay, you know, like, it's cool, but the kindergartners just put it into perspective. And probably the best part was some of our kids came to school with glasses, not knowing we would provide them at school. And one of our kindergartners rolled right into the class and said, I got my glasses for the apocalypse.
Thank you, Mrs. Stefanich. And also thank you for providing some adults like myself with a set of glasses also today. Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Verwise over at Jamestown.
Yeah.
Upper.
So I will not redo all the eclipse amazingness, but that was so great. Yeah. Such a great experience. And just additionally, the human side of it, we also were donating our glasses to schools in South America. And so not only do our kids get this great experience, but they also get to think about and plan for shipping those off for students to use in next October. So other things going on, MSTEP is obviously huge right now in preparation for that. Jamestown will get rolling with that here in just over a week, but all the buildings are in a slightly different schedule. Really hoping that some eclipse questions show up on our 5th grade science, and we're going to kill those. PTA kickoff for our walkathon is tomorrow. We're still, this is going to be our last spring walkathon before we switch over to doing it in the fall next year. For those of you who don't get my weekly updates, book bracket challenge in the month of March was huge, and we have this huge competition, and the winner this year was Because of Winn-Dixie. So I know all of you are waiting with bated breath for that. It's UConn and Because of Winn-Dixie.
And South
Carolina. Oh, South Carolina. Yeah. That was such a great help. Yeah, I was going viral, but put that one behind. Battle of the Books is another thing that's going on in our building right now. We kicked that off right before spring break. We've got just over 100 kids in the building that are participating in Battle of the Books this year. And so we always kick it off before spring break because that's just such a great opportunity for kids to really crank through a couple of those books right off the bat. So that'll be running almost through the whole rest of the year. So,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verwise. We'll go to the 5-6 building. Mrs. McClure. You got to turn it on. There you go.
Can you hear me? I'll just talk really loud because it's not turning on. So we also participated in some March's Reading Month activities, and we read Enemies in the Orchard by Dana Vanderluck, and she came and she kicked it off with our school, and then she came back for a question and answer session one day before going on spring break. But we had parents and students come just to hear about where she got the idea for the book and just got to ask her questions, and it was a really cool experience. And then a little side gig that we had, we have some of our students participate in Genius Hour, and they, this group is very passionate about reptiles, and they wanted to have like a whole after-school event and invite kids to come and like see some different reptiles and learn about them. And they reached out to John Ball Zoo. They took donations because they want to donate to the reptile room at John Ball Zoo and just help support them. And so they came and they talked and they brought reptiles, which was really cool. So we had apples in the orchard and we had reptiles. So you got to it was a great experience. So it's just cool to see our kids just coming up with some really great ideas and wanting to step into that leadership and just sharing their passions with others. So that was really great. And then we ended going into spring break with our Wacky Olympics. So it was our second time this year with everybody in our school in the gym, and we can actually fit pretty well without all the instruments from instrument fittings a couple months ago. We were able to do lots of different competitions between all of our kids, and we had intermixed 5th and 6th grade teams, and it was just a great way to have everybody together. And so we're super excited about what can we do maybe at the end of every quarter, now that we know that we can all fit in the gym and still do some fun activities. So. And STEP started yesterday for us, so it went great.
Thank you. Last but not least on the buildings, an update from Mr. Beal at the high school.
Yeah, me again, like Jane said, we had Cap Fest today. So she got her cap and gown along with all of our seniors, and we had a little kind of a job fair walkthrough as well that was organized by Chad Seitzmo for Career Connections. But that meant that our 9th and 10th graders were taking the PSAT. Juniors today took the Word Keys and then the M-Step test, and we battled through a little bit of technology issue. Everybody got done, and so it was kind of not without its issues, but that's kind of how it goes, and we got through it. So we're doing SAT next week Wednesday with a digital learning day, as you've heard about before from the work session and approval for that digital learning day. So we appreciate that for the big SAT next week Wednesday. On the Eclipse front, I got a chance to go, and maybe you saw it on Wood TVA, because they did a little special interview with Mr. Baldwin along with one of our students, Sabrina, and Mr. Lewitt got to go as well. And we had a great experience, even though it was a lot of time on the road to experience totality there in Ohio. Mr. Bolheis helped organize it. I got to drive the equipment van and take my own children and my niece and nephew as well. But Mrs. Webster, one of our science teachers who's retiring this year, has a cousin who lives right in the path of totality in Ohio, and she hosted all of us there, 2 busloads full of students, and we got to experience it. It was pretty special. So that was our week, and getting right back from spring break to do that was a pretty great experience. So those are some things going on at the high school.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
And Max was there too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure was. Perfect. Thanks, Mr. Beal. All right, we'll get some updates from cabinet. We'll start with Mandy.
So we have about 200 students that receive special education services at the high school. Each of them have a transition plan that outlines their goals and activities related to life
After high school, and as fun as those plans are, they're also highly connected to many compliance factors. And for the second year in a row, our high school special ed team got 100% compliance, which is a real win, and speaks to their hard work on that. And earlier this week, we had another diversity and advocacy committee. Thanks to those of you on the board who were able to visit us for a little bit. I'm excited about the progress that group continues to make, and we'll share a further update at the work session.
Thank you. Mrs. Armstrong.
So 2 highlights that I'd like to point out. One of the SOAR goals under Human Resources is access and connection and conversation with central office. So Dr. Vanderjack and I have been going around and doing a listening tour at every building, and we have all but the ECC done, and we will be doing that on Monday. But it's just been a really great way in the last, I think we did it 2 weeks before spring break, and then all this week, to connect with the building staff and hear their glows and grows. And it's just been fun to get into the buildings and hear things, and I feel like we've had really some positive feedback, so it's been great. Secondly, back in 2021, during the crazy COVID era, you might remember that we kind of created this position that was kind of a COVID coordinator using grant funds to help with all the many testing and contact tracing and things like that kind of mid-year. And that has kind of changed into what we call a wellness coordinator. And that Angie Briggs Johnson is the person that has been doing this the whole time. And this position is geared towards our staff. So all the things that she does to help with our staff wellness. And I just want to point out, if you go into buildings, you'll see this a banner that will say Alliance for a Healthier Generation. And every single building won this award. as the healthiest school. And she really helped coordinate that with the building principals. And we won this in 22-23 school year, and it was because of what we do for our staff wellness, not for the kids and what they eat or anything like that. It's staff wellness. And because of that, she got to be on a national webinar panel today, and she presented things that we do for our staff, for their wellness. There were 6 panelists. It highlighted wellness, gratitude, and recognition. And Hudsonville Public Schools sat right alongside Seattle Public Schools. And she's like, I felt really good, and he didn't intimidate me. And I said, well, of course not. Just because their school district has more people doesn't mean that they're, different, but or better. So, that was just such a cool thing. About 200 people did, and she said that they got the most questions. And the best thing about Angie is she uses just simple solutions to create difference in our staff's lives. So I just really kudos to her and all the great work she does for our staff.
And to your leadership. Well done.
Thanks.
Ms. Taylor.
Yes, I would like to just give a shout out to our principals this evening. It is testing season, which you heard them share about, and our principals just go above and beyond in numerous ways to support teachers and support kids so that they're successful academically. This is a highly stressful time of year for principals and for teachers because they care deeply about how their students progress on standardized assessments and, quite frankly, any assessment that they give them. And so just a shout out to our administrators and our teachers. They weather a lot, and they're very committed to the success of our students. And so just thinking of them and showing gratitude for the work that they do to ensure that our kids are making progress.
Thanks, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Briggs.
Thank you. I'd just like to note some of the, I don't often do this, but there are a lot of people who just love to actually work over spring break. They take their vacation at other times, because most people that work in this building are year round, so they'll take a vacation other times unless their kids are tied to the break. So last week, a lot of them did that, and Kelly and HR put together a nice potluck on Wednesday. And then just in the business office, we're working hard to get this year closed out, starting to close it out, planning for next year. And we did some things that we don't normally do over break to test the software. I had to do some things as other people were gone, some things I don't normally do with the software. And one of the projects we're working on right now with the new software is electronic timesheets and leave accruals. And we've had that set up lots of ways. We're probably on plan 6 or 7 now, but just testing that, writing new manuals, recalibrating. That's some of the stuff that's going on in the central office and the business office. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Briggs. All right, I have a couple quick updates. I'm going to echo Mrs. Taylor's comments to our principals. It is you try to reduce the anxiety for all the kids when you test. And I know it adds the anxiety to our lives as administrators, but thank you for all the work you do putting into getting ready for the testing cycles. Talking at the high school today, talking about testing, it used to be, do you have an extra number 2 pencil? Can I borrow your calculator? Now it's turned into, do you have a charger for your Chromebook? So it's just a different world when all the kids are testing electronically and going from there. So thanks to all our staff, all administrative staff, and our teaching staff. It's a lot of work to make sure the kids are all testing and doing the best they can. Last night, Mr. Hall and Mr. Davis and I attended an Ottawa School Boards Association meeting, which was really with cognitive coaching about having some daring dialogue. It was a very well done presentation. We were there for a couple hours and just had a great conversation with other area schools, board members, superintendents, about having difficult conversations. And it was just well done. At that meeting, they also did recognize all those that have attained certification. I do want to recognize Mr. Bolheis, as well as Dr. Hooper. Both of them were recognized for completing their level 1 certificate. I believe Mr. Davis might have grabbed the certificates on the way out, so he has your certificate. So congratulations to both of you. I know Dr. Hooper's not here this evening, another commended, but congratulations to both of you for completing that. And then last but not least, you may have heard, hopefully you have, we have an election coming up May 7th. Hopefully you have an opportunity, if you haven't voted over spring break, when you got your absentee ballot. If you did not, and you are not voting absentee, hopefully you get a chance to vote. It is very important for our community. If you have any questions, and I will say that I think our principals they've got it all down. I think our board has it all down. But community members, if you have questions about it, I've spoken with a handful of people that have questions about the difference between the two. The bottom line is we cannot levy over 18 mills. We're asking to renew this over a 4-year period so that we don't have to keep coming back during that time. The extra election component, the extra 2 mills, is not on top of the 18. It's just a buffer so that we can keep it at 18 over that 4-year span. We, by law, cannot, will not, just not possible to levy over 18. But please get out and vote. The volume of the vote will dictate the success of the vote. So that's my report this evening.
Thank you. And again, we save, how much is it per year per election?
About $48,000 now, but over time, you can imagine it'll be right around $150,000 savings if we don't have 3, if we can bypass the next 3 cycles.
Yeah, significant. Thanks to you and Stephanie too for a lot of the communications that have gone out in multiple platforms to get the word out. All right, let's go to our roundtable here. I'll start with Mr. Hall.
A couple of items, just to reiterate what Dr. Vanderjack said, and really talking to the board here about the election. Call friends, call family, send emails to friends and family and coworkers that work in your facilities or where you're at. And remind them, encourage them to go to the district website, which I'm looking at here. There's great information on there about really covers just what Dr. Vanderjack said. So it's incumbent on us to get the vote out, to help get the vote out, and to support the district with encouraging people to vote and be informed on the vote on May 7th. So please, board, engage in contact. Don't assume that our friends and families will be out there voting. Be part of the process. The musical, just a recap on that. It was a while ago, but unbelievable. I mean, just accolades all around. And the other really encouraging thing was the number of students that participated. You know, you see at the end, all the students, I'm looking at Mr. Jordan, Mr. Beeling, when all the students come out and you go, wow, there's a lot of kids that participate in so many different ways in putting that together. So just such a wonderful thing. Ms. Mucho and Mr. Walden, thank you for inviting me into your schools to read. When you go through an event like that, events like those, and you go back to work, and you got a big smile on your face, and everybody's wondering what you were doing in the morning, and it's like, hey, I was reading to little kids, and it's just nothing better. So thank you for that. Look forward to coming back. Last item I had, I was able to attend an MASB session on student achievement recently, and I understand more about student achievement, what other districts are doing around student achievement. To kind of summarize about a 3-hour session, they talked about what student achievement, a lot of discussion around what that means, academic attainment, job skills preparation, citizenship for civic purposes, appreciation of arts, and then social and emotional underpinning all that so that all students are able to achieve their best. And then, of course, there's state and federal and local standards and so forth as well that we have to meet. A lot of discussion around achievement indicators. Some of them are easy to measure, some of them not so easy to measure. We measure various things here on our dashboard. And really one of the encouragements is, coming out of there, we have the pieces in place. Our job as a board is to cast a vision for what we want the district to be, and then to make sure that there is a way to conduct that, to achieve that vision. That's our strategic planning process. And then to hold ourselves and the community, the school community, accountable for achieving that vision, and then to decide and make sure that we're clear on what we're measuring and why, and what are the hard measurements and the soft measurements. And so all those pieces we have in place as a district, and our challenge is to continue, as a board, is to continue to reinforce that, and then to just kind of continue to talk about, as we do, these and how they are they right? Are we measuring the right information? Are we tapping in not just to the hard SAT, MSTEP sort of measurables, but other measurables that point to our students' success? So So we've got the pieces in place, we're conducting, we're moving down the path very well as a district. It's just always a process and always continuous improvement. So thank this team for all your help, your work, I should say, in moving this continuously toward more and better student achievement. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ken, for being a lifelong learner. I think all of us on the board appreciate that and other people. And I think as we go to these events, it helps all of us. So appreciate you doing that. If there's something else you want to share at the group session, feel free to do that too. So, yes, get out and vote. But probably more importantly, as Ken said, talk to people. So often I would get calls from family and friends the day before. What's this vote all about? And it's great you can tell them the day before, but it'd be a whole lot nicer if they knew a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, so they can also talk to others who might have questions. So please, your circle of family and friends that live in the district, continue to talk to them about the vote on May 7th. Thank you to Mark, who was not here, I don't believe he was. Oh, there he is, hiding back there. Yes. And for Josh for having me read to your kindergartners. It's just such, I was like, I wish I could just sit here all day with these kids. And they were so smart. Well, and I had third and fourth with Mark, and I have to tell you, Mark, I was like a little intimidated at first. We named third and fourth because my grandkids aren't that age. But they were like on top of it. I gave them some science questions that they answered, and it was great. And Josh gave me a little tour, and what some of you know is that I went to Bauer Elementary as a student. And so it was crazy to be in the gym that's been revamped. And when he took me down the wing where it was the old wing, I literally got goosebumps. I felt myself transform back to that spot, and it was just the weirdest, I don't know if you noticed my face, but it was just the weirdest but great feeling. And just so cool to see that circle come around, that here I am reading to kids in school where I started, and just the cool improvements and all the enthusiasm from your staff. So thank you, Josh and Mark.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to just bring up the Hudsonville Education Foundation is going to be having their spring soiree on May 1st. I think it's a Wednesday. It's going to be at the Farmhouse Cedar Company right off of 48th on Stanton there. So if anyone is able to make that, there's I think there's information on the website. They do a lot of work. They give a lot of grants and stuff to for the education of the kids. In fact, I think they donated some of those binoculars or something, Jordan. Okay, on this recent trip down to Ohio. So remember them and all the work that they do. Also, I got a question, and I saw the 4th article on this just this afternoon. This stuff going on with the FAF stuff, Doctor. Is there anything? I mean, they said there's a lot of concerns about kids not knowing where they're going to be or what if they're going to have the funds when it's time to go to school. Do we have any information on that?
Our council will do a really nice job in high school to make sure kids that need to fill out the FAFSA.
Yeah, but they just said there's a screw up nationally with the fact that the program is not working, and there's like 2 million things that have to be redone. Have you heard anything like that?
Where are you reading this?
It's just been about just everywhere.
We can only control our. In Hudsonville Public Schools is probably substantially different than Detroit Public Schools, for example. And I know from a national standpoint there are concerns.
Right.
But we also have our counseling department does a wonderful job.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Andrew. So yes, like Mr. Veal talked about, the eclipse on Monday was awesome. So Paxton was there too. We had 80 students, 80-ish students, 2 school bus fulls. My first grader and third grader came along. I checked with Mr. Mearsma. The M-Step started on Tuesday, not on Monday. So we were good. My third grader on Tuesday, I think, wrote an essay about the history of bicycles or something as part of the M-Step. Anyway, the eclipse was great. It was a very eye-opening experience, I think, to just look around and see the reactions of all the students. To like, the emotions that like none of us have really, at least none of the kids there, I don't think have experienced that before. So to be around a group of people that were all really excited to see it, it was a really cool thing. And all the things that came together between busing and the place that we got to go, Mrs. Webster, graciously offering, her family place for us to kind of hang out, beautiful area. It was really great, really fun to be a part of. So,
But the most important thing was the weather.
Weather was amazing. Couldn't have been better. And it got like 25 degrees colder, or 20, it was crazy when they eclipsed that. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for letting me be a part of that. It was definitely a rewarding experience. Getting home at midnight was not ideal for my first and third graders, but it was good. Yeah, it's the next day. Hey, listen, and listen. Speaking of that, my oldest we talked about how the MSTEP went, and he said, "Dad, it took the longest, I think, out of all the kids." And I was like, well, why was that? Hold on, I was like, why was that? And he's like, I reread what I wrote, I think 6 times. And every time you reread it, you made corrections. And I was like, are you proud of what you did? He said, absolutely. I'm like, well, good, perfect. That's exactly what you should do, right? So that was pretty cool. Thank you again, Mr. Mearsma, Ms. Stephanie, for having me to read to the kids. I echo everything else that was said. Also, a former Bauer student myself, it's always good to be back in the building, and thank you for welcoming me into Park. It was a highlight of my week for sure, so thank you. The Mary Poppins play, we talked about it before, we talked about it in our work session. Absolutely incredible, and I got to meet Mr. Banks also at the Eclipse, so that was kind of cool. But just the incredible talent that we have, but also more importantly, the dedication of the teachers and all of you in this room to provide that support for kids. Mr. Boyce didn't have to take those kids to Ohio, right? So the sacrifices that you all and your teachers put in to make this place the wonderful place it is really appreciated, so thank you.
Thanks.
And to be clear, not Mr. Bolheis, me, Mr. Bolheis.
No.
I didn't even look at you. I want to protect my eyes. Yeah, no chances. I want to thank Jeremy and Heidi for allowing me to come in and read. Those are the 2 buildings I probably spent the least time ever in, and you were very gracious to give me tours, and that's the favorite part of this job, is being in the buildings. And one of the buildings I am in a lot is Georgetown, and I happened to be in there a few weeks ago, and there's a gal with a dog, like a therapy dog, and so I walked up, happened to be my babysitter growing up, is the lady who's training this dog, Mrs. Hudsonville. This is how it works. Because we got to talking for a while, and Ken, kind of hitting on what you talked about, the emotional needs of the kids, and our staff here, we're doing great big picture things to really meet the needs of the kids, but it just struck me how simple having a dog in the building can be. And I think it was about last year at this time, we had to update some of our policies to accommodate that, but just the feedback from your staff, and then being in Baldwin Street, Mr. Craig, with your staff, and you'd have, I think, the dog in there as well, because we train these dogs in our buildings. We don't have any building with a dog, and a support dog full time, but I'm excited about the potential of what this could do for some of our buildings and our kids, just hearing the stories from the staff of when the trainer dogs are in there, how the kids open up. And it's probably different in an elementary building versus how the kids respond in middle school or high school, but there's benefits all along the way. So it's cool to hear those stories and just think about little things, simple things that can go a long way to meet kids, and maybe even staff some days where they're at when things are getting tough. So it's cool that your buildings are able to bring those folks in. I hope we see more of that going forward. So with that, let's get out of here. Thanks, Susan. So for the motion to adjourn. Thank you. Okay.
Sure, yes.
Done. Andrew, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.